Oh, do I ever so have a headache. Well, hello, Glue Troopers. Max and Max's Models here. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Starting off in the news, essentially finished off the Topolino today, the Keeler's Kustom. This is as far as I'm going to go with it. Of course, I did build both engines, but it's built and up on the top shelf. So that's where it lives now. And that allowed me to clean up the tables and get some work done and get some other projects laid out. So I decided to go ahead and start with the SR-71 since we were talking about it the other day. And a glue trooper pointed out that I had one in the stash, and I knew I did. I wasn't sure which one because it was Revell boxing, but it was actually the monogram kit reboxed. The 1984 monogram kit that was reboxed by Revell years later, and this is a fairly new production one. So I'm going to get started on that. I'm going to definitely be making that wheels up. To me, the SR-71's got to be made wheels up. It's just too sleek an airplane to put there on the ground with the wheels down. And even though they're black, they still. I've watched some videos on making them. You do need to pre-shade and detail them out so you don't just have that dull, flat black look. You can get some conditioning on the airplane, make it look like a real airplane. But I think this would also probably be a good beginner's kit for an entry-level model builder because cool subject matter and it's not too complicated. So anywho, then I also laid out that AMT Reed Hasegawa 1969 vintage Betty. I'd been wanting to get started on that a while back but wasn't able to, and now I am. And when I laid it all out, it's not a terribly complicated kit, typical 60s vintage stuff. But I painted up the interior first and then shot the Japanese dark green on the outside. And the reason I went ahead and painted the outside fuselage sections were so that when I put in the small pieces of clear, I can just put a piece of tape over the whole area instead of having just to mask them off individually. Because as you may have gathered with this airplane, it was plenty of a nightmare masking off the clear parts. But I'll get back to that in just a second. So right now I have three projects going. I have the Arizona and the SR-71 on one end of the Tarbus, and on the other I have the Betty laid out. Now I'm going to get to work on the Betty tomorrow some more. Today I spent most of my time, and I mean almost all day, since I didn't have an actual mast set, just taping off and trimming out the 1/72nd scale Betty Bomber super complex glass. And I really should not have tried to do that at one sitting. I actually took a break in the middle for lunch, but I do have a pounding headache from all the eye strain from trying to get it right. And I am sure when you look close at it when it's done, it won't be perfect, but it looks okay for now. So I took it out to the Tarbus, put the clear parts in the paint booth, and then covered them with clear actual enamel, clear testers. So because that stuff can take anything, you can cover it with any kind of paint you want. It won't hurt anything. So I'm going to let that all, it's coated now. I'm going to let it seal up overnight. Or I'm going to gas out overnight to be nice and tightly sealed. Then tomorrow when I put the fuselage and everything together and put the parts on, then I can, because this kit's going to start off with a rattle can coat before I use the airbrush to detail it out. Now, the clear perspex on the nose, I couldn't get a good round cut on it no matter how hard I tried. I only nicked myself once. And of course I started with a brand new X-Acto knife blade. Made all the difference in the world. And of course we all know that's kind of modeling 101, but I'm sometimes a little lazy, like, nope, not this time, not one this complex. And that really made an enormous difference. It made a very tedious job much more bearable. And so, but I am going to use the liquid to do the nose cap because it's that compound curve. I just couldn't get it. And I'm also going to touch up some of the other stuff, try and make it look good. I know it's a simple basic kit. It's a shelf model, kind of a primer before I get on the Tamiya Betty that I've got here in 1/48 scale. Of course, thank God that's got a lot of pre-painted windows. God bless Tamiya. So then when I got to working on the pilots, at first I just painted them up. They're 1/72nd scale, not too much detail, and then while I was digging looking for the Tamiya masking tape, I came across a bag of stuff, building stuff that had been sent to me by Orange Tabby, by Garfield. And in the move and everything, it had gotten kind of tucked away. And oh, wait a minute, this has got brushes and all kinds of 3mm tape and Tamiya tape and all this other great stuff. It's just what I need. It also had this brush conditioner, which was in there. So I watched a real quick YouTube video on how to use that. This apparently, how this brush treatment helps protect your brushes so they don't, bristle out on you and everything. So I'm using that now. It seems to work. And so thanks again for that, OT. That stuff came in real handy on this model, and I'm sure it's going to come in handy in the future on a lot of other stuff. But anywho, so I decided, since he had some really fine tip brushes in there, to go ahead and try and doll up those pilots just a little bit, and they did come out looking better. So you probably won't be able to see it under all that acrylic and everything, the clear parts, because it's 1/72 scale, but still, it's nice to know it's in there. And that's where we are at with that right now. I've got the Betty gas and I haven't really started on the SR71. I was just laying it out. I haven't touched the Arizona, but maybe tomorrow I'll start cracking on some of the photo etch on that. That's really the next phase. And that's where we're at. By the way, this is the unused instrument panel from the 1/48 scale Tamiya P38. That was for the H model, and I did the F model. Or excuse me, that was for the G model. I did the F model. And it's just, look at that detail. Isn't that insane? Well, anyway, guys, that's where we're at for right now. That's the situation in the TARDIS. I want to thank everybody for giving me a few minutes of your time. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. And as always, model on.